So I guess the big question that folks are probably trying to ask or answer, for that matter, is really how do you get a private equity job? And let me go through these 5 buckets here. And if we run out of time, there's obviously, I have my contact information at the back. Feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to go through any of these buckets more explicitly and take you through practice questions or, what firms to target and what different firm cultures are and so forth. But let me try to provide a high-level overview here. So if you're interested in a job in private equity, one thing is you should try to be aware of what's going on. That's why I tried to provide some of the industry trends at the beginning of the presentation just to give a flavor for that. But I think there's a couple different ways that you can do that. I broke them up into 2 separate parts. One is reading that you can do on your own on a regular basis. And then 2 is when you're interested in getting a job, you should definitely talk to people. And coming to a webinar like this is a great place to start. On the reading side, I provided a couple different examples of things that you can read. Under the industry newsletters, I subscribe to all 3 of these. I think they're good. They come out once a day in the morning. They're free to subscribe to. And I think they provide a pretty good overview of deals that are going on in the industry, key personnel moves, key investments, exits, and also relevant topics that, like I mentioned before, carried interest in Congress, for example, is something that's covered relatively well. Finally, the Vault Guide, which I'm sure most of you know, can be helpful in preparing for interviews and thinking about the types of questions that you might be asked during the interviews. And I'm sure that the items listed in the communication side are of no surprise to folks. People generally enjoy talking about what they do and helping other people, so don't be bashful about reaching out to them to try to get some advice, either on what their firm does, how to get a job there, or just general career advice on whether private equity is even a good idea for you. After you ramp up and learn about what's going on, you probably want to think about whether your skill set matches what would be good for the industry. And again, this varies a lot by firm. But I tried to go through a couple key areas where I thought it was helpful to highlight. On experience, I think people generally like having relevant work experience, but like I said at the beginning, that can really vary in that it could be anything from working at a bank, working at a company, doing consulting, because at the end of the day, you're looking at companies and trying to figure out how they work and if they're going to work in a particular way over time. So any knowledge you have that you've assembled that can help you do that can help you assess whether or not a business is a good business means that you can contribute to the team in some way. You might not be the guy that's actually doing the Excel and running the model, but you could be someone that's contributing a valuable piece of analysis, or that's thinking about the business in a way that somebody else might not. I think curiosity is important. Always asking questions, trying to turn over rocks and figuring out what's under them, being eager to learn more. The thing about our business is that there's generally a limitless amount of information, so being able to synthesize that, but always trying to strive to figure out what else you can read or who else you can talk to or what other questions you can ask. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a lot of work. People focus on, I'm sure you've heard buzzwords like attention to detail, hardworking. Like I said, the pace is pretty steady, but it can certainly ramp up, and people look for folks who have some firepower to do that. I think creative thinkers also can do well in that there's generally no set work plan or no set of things that are consistent across every business by which you're going to evaluate them. So coming up with creative ways to think about why businesses might be good or bad, or good investments or bad investments, and how to help them over time is valuable. And finally, I think articulate communication is undervalued in that you're constantly communicating with other members of your team, other members of your firm, and also companies and outside investors and so forth. So both written and oral communication, I think, are very, very helpful skills and something that should be highlighted when you're applying for any job.